Hey again. So I figured I'd do part two because I actually have a lot of feelings about this show, like the rest of the people on the internet. Um, so let's just keep going. Like I said, a lot of people are kind of offended that they're cutting out a lot of you know, the A-listers of Gotham. As I said in the last review, I'm not too bothered by that. I think, this is really interesting territory to go into for a TV show. Like, they're not using the most predictably marketable villains. I'm a purist. I love all those original villains, man, but I gotta say, seeing them be just used to a nauseating extent, like, it just gets old, man. I'm sick of seeing the Joker be the only guy that Batman ever fucks with. And yes, he does a lot with the Joker. Like, that's his main guy, I'd say. But that being said, he does have other stories to tell. But if you for a second take off the nostalgia glasses and watch this show, you will find that there's actually a lot of sort of like intellectual meat there. Bruce Wayne isn't just billionaire. I mean, they don't really even show Bruce Wayne doing a lot of Bruce Wayne things. He's always sort of brooding and this other stuff. But the coolest thing is, he's the world's greatest detective again. And he's just sort of really intellectually honed in this way that you didn't see in the original series. Like, yeah, he was a detective in the original series, but he wasn't like world's greatest detective. Like, this is actually him dealing with that kind of stuff, and it seems like it's pretty early on in his career as Batman, because Alfred still is worrying a lot about Batman, because it seems like this is a really sort of fresh plan, and Alfred's trying to define his role next to Bruce Wayne as Batman. Batman's also getting his ass kicked in a few moments. That being said, I have to say, there are some issues I have. I think it pulls you out in certain moments, and you just call it, like, if you've seen Grease, the movie, the whole movie's like, okay, this is plainly realistic, they're singing, but whatever. Yeah, okay, end of the movie. Okay. Is that car fucking flying now? You have those moments, like, there's moments where, Professor Pig and this Toad guy are riding around, and this Toad has, like, this moment of supersonic, like, breath. It's like you're watching it, and then all of a sudden there's, like, an X-Men First Class moment where it's just he screeches and, like, glass shatters around him, and, like, he has this subsonic or supersonic, like, belching ability, and you're just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? But, it sort of removes you from the moment. So there are some small flaws with this show, but everything is flawed. I would not say any single work that came out revolving around Batman is going to tell the story the best way. I think what needs to happen is people need to say that Batman is sort of an artistic archetype at this point. He's not really a character. He's been taken a lot of different directions. There's a very elemental route to Batman. There's a very, gritty, realistic, counter-terrorist personality part of his character. There's the campy, I'm dressing up in tights running around, like, who am I kind of guy. Like, Batman is something that has lended itself to so many different interpretations. It's really hard to say that he is this one thing now. I think it's interesting for me to see that, people are taking this source material of Batman, Bruce Wayne as Batman, that core story, and they're taking it in directions more or less personal. Not personal, but I think you can definitely see a different touch. Joel Schumacher has one personality, making one kind of Batman, and Tim Burton had a very different personality. Sorry, I think someone's breaking in my house. I can't tell. Chris Nolan's got this completely other personality that sort of does things to Batman we never wanted to see happen. So it's different, No one. I think people get so stuck on their favorite parts of Batman because it's so important to them. It's like very touchy-feely with people, especially because now we're all adults and we have a lot of generally we hate the people who ruin the things we used to care about. Like, we all hate George Lucas now. If you were a Star Wars fan as a kid, you hate what he's done to the Star Wars franchise and what he's continuing to do to the Star Wars franchise. And that's why everyone's sort of got like their fists up. They're like, man, you're not coming near Batman, man. You're not, get there. Get here, Dark Knight. And they're just sort of like really defensive. I watched one person's YouTube video that was just like this crazy Byronic ranting of like, you will not take Batman from me, he's mine. And like, it was so defensive of something, and I realized like most people are just critical of the Batman franchise because it means a lot to them. Batman means a lot to me. I don't know if I've really invested a lot of time in other characters the same way I invest time in him. So I could see why people are very jarred by this new show. But that being said, I can only diagnose that there's one main complaint here, and it's that it will not include any of the A-lister villains. Which is interesting, because if you think about it, Batman Begins is arguably the more successful of the 3 Chris Nolan films, and it had Ra's al Ghul, Scarecrow, and Falcone. Those are not necessarily the most predictable or even well-known Batman counterpoints. Now, granted, Batman Begins is pretty much just year 1 as a movie. If you don't agree, you weren't watching and you weren't reading. But yeah, it's basically year 1, so it has to sort of stick with a story like that, but it's not necessarily full of the richest marketable territory, but it's still really good. People need to just stop their paranoia because it doesn't have the most nameable villains. They are crucial to him, and no one's actually saying that they don't exist in this world. They're just saying that's not what the show is going to be about. There may be mentions of them, but it's not about that. Give it a chance, because it really could be something good for you. Whatever. Bye.